I've been doing a pretty nasty job. I've been in the capitalist zone for a very long time. I've been helping a lot of businesses actually make a lot of money. Improve the businesses, that's what I've been doing. What I've kind of realized over my experience is it's not about what has happened so far, it's about what can happen tomorrow. This is the most important part of this presentation. You can take down notes over here. This is how I work. Now, where I started as a kid. As a teenager, this is typically how most of the people who are appearing when I'm preparing for IIT, that's how they look. After which, frankly, I didn't get into IIT. I actually got into architecture in Roorkee, which was University of Roorkee at that time. That's when that dot happened, something happened over there. Then I started transforming from a very clinical, manicured kind of a good South Indian boy. I started kind of grunging myself. So I transformed into the student, the way I look. Then obviously, after you graduate, you're a young employee. You're an architect, you're a designer. You have all the attitude. You get paid very less, but you have all the attitude. That's when, because you don't get paid, you have to kind of have something that actually sells yourself. So I went through this phase. And after the employee phase, a year ago when I started out on my own and started Ideaculture, I realized that some things had to change further again. So that's when, this is where I am right now. Yeah? A lesser important fact is how the world evolved. While this was my story, this is the story of humanity. We started off as barbarians, we started hunting, we started extracting from whatever earth had to give us. After some time we realized that we are taking too much, we had to create a balance. We became the cultivators, we became the farmers, we moved on to the agrarian era. From there we realized that the nature has its own limitations, we had to kind of look beyond nature. We became the producers, started making things, we moved on to the industrial era. We were dealing with tangible products. We started selling tangible products and making money out of it. Then some people said that why should I only make money out of tangible products? I can also make money out of intangible products. That's when the service economy started. So people who made nothing but always had something to rent out, was willing to kind of trade off some kind of a help or the other. And we are right now in the knowledge era. Now this is the era where people like me make money. We are all the consultants, we share knowledge, we think a lot. So this is the consultant era, which is why most of you over here are all victims of this knowledge era. You trade knowledge, you don't know how to make anything, you don't know how to trade a service, all you do is give out knowledge and you get paid for it in crores. What next is the most important thing. Now we have, or roughly we know that things can be made, things can be traded. There's a lot of knowledge that is there in our hands. What happens next? Now this is where I have a bigger edge than any of you over here. It's like, we are the dreamers, the imaginers. And not because that I can imagine more, or I can dream more. It's because I have understood that this is the next generation more than anyone else. This is going to be the creative era, which is the creative economy, where the whole world is talking about that we are moving on to the creative economy. Now what is this creative economy? It's actually the dream era. You slowly start connecting some of these dots on some of the speakers who have spoken before and realize that what this era is actually doing, it's already started. Here, thanks. Now this era is where logic is slowly taking a backseat to emotions, where most of the decisions that we make on a day-to-day life is not based on logic alone. We don't go by functionality alone, utility alone. We go by a lot of experiences, a lot of emotional kind of attachment to things by which you kind of convince yourself why you need to do certain things. So in this era, fashion is not about clothing alone. The moment the tag changes, there's a different experience attached to each of these products. Transport is not about, the vehicles are not just about transport. You cannot dare tell a person, why do you want a Ducati? You can just take one Kawasaki, Bajaj, some 100-stroke one, it still takes you from one place to the other. It's blasphemous. You can't tell them it's just a vehicle. It's much more than what it is. The food that we eat, it's not just to satisfy hunger. It's about much more. Each of the products that is displayed over here and many other things have an implication on what our experience is. To an extent that most of us even have a very specific hunger. Today, my hunger is directed towards pizzas. That's the only thing that can satisfy my hunger. We have very kind of focused kind of hunger that we have. The gadgets are not about utility. The spaces are not just environments. It's getting better. Even our jobs are not just for livelihood. Each of us even handpick the kind of work we want to be doing for the rest of our lives. All these are about attitude and personality. It is not just about what you see at a surface level. They are all about stories and experiences. Each of these, whether it is the food that you eat, whether the vehicle that you ride, whether it's the clothes that you wear, the work that you do, they are all stories and experiences which we are trying to create for ourselves. We have all imagined them and we are trying to recreate them. Now, either you can have all these stories and experiences which kind of emerge over a period of time, but I don't know how many of us have that kind of a patience to wait for 50, 60, 100 years for these kind of stories to emerge. But then this guy, he's kind of demonstrated that you can do everything by design. Everything that we do can happen by design. And going forward, the bad news is that everything has to happen by design. There is very little room for us to just sit back and say that something has just happened, I didn't have any control. So the fact that everything is a kind of an outcome of an imagination, of a story that you have written for yourself or for somebody, which we have recreated and converted into reality. But what is design? Typically, this is what most of us know design as. Every time I step out and I introduce myself as a designer, popularly I am branded as a fashion designer. In spite of my fashion sense, most of them kind of assume that design is about what it looks like. The fortunate part for people like me is that it is not just this, which is why during my transformation from the good South Indian kid to that grungy designer, I survived that because you realize that there is a little bit more to that. I actually can survive in this kind of a place. Design is a verb. It is not a discipline. It is not a faculty. It is not a department. Design is a verb. It is a whole process of you taking things that are existing to the desired. What everyone over here has been talking about is that what they have done is all, they have designed an experience, they have designed their careers, they have designed their profession, they have designed everything that they have done for themselves. The whole process of design is just captured in this one word, saying that what it is to where it has to be. It is completely about achieving outcomes and has nothing to do with the outputs. Design is generally seen as drawings, it is seen as beautiful printouts, it is seen as sketches. That's not what it is. That is just a means to get to the goal. All of us are designers. We all have 3 things that takes us to actually become a designer. One is an empathy, your understanding, or rather a more softer way of saying that your understanding of the other individual or people around you. Empathy becomes the most strongest tool, which is actually not a discipline that any of the departments train you to do. There's something that you have in you pick it up along the way. The second is your creative skill. Now, creative skill, we all come with it. We destroy it as we move along because we don't get paid enough for it. It's just things which kind of let us know, oh, can I do it in some other form? The more wilder you are, the more notorious you are, you're more likely to be more creative. It's not that, it's just that the sanity kind of takes away the creativity because everything has to be validated. Which is typically the biggest kind of corporate challenge that I face when I'm speaking to clients is that it has to be validated. Now, creativity cannot be validated. It may be validated, but it's a gut feel. You never know whether it works or not. But the fact that unless we explore those territories which may or may not be validated, we don't have the options open for us to actually select what to do. And then, obviously, you can't do anything under the sun without being practical. So that's a skill education anyway trains us to do. And when you are designing, it is not just the output, it is about everything that actually goes into it. It is not just what you see. Anybody who hasn't actually done the entire job of designing themselves hasn't cracked the entire formula to actually connect to people. It is about your thought, your words, your actions. It's about everything that you think in some form or the other, it's reflected in the other person's mind. You can actually read minds, which is what even earlier was mentioned, that some of these non-articulated kind of responses are also kind of captured by people. We are all obsessed about the what. What are you doing? What's your plan? What are you wearing? The most inarticulated part is actually why. Why do I want to get into a pre-med institute? Why do I want to wear this clothes? Why do I want my organization to be like this? Why do I want my career to be like this? Why do I want my dream to be like this? The why captures the essence of what you do. The whole process of design is actually trying to take and identify these whys before we actually see what is actually visible, that is a what. Why is it this person is not having the coffee? Why is it that the people are not using the self-check-in kiosk? Why is it that the person is going where there's too much of crowd? Why is it that people are actually shopping in places which is filthy? There is always a reason which you try to answer by which you actually come up with solutions. And the best thing about design is the fact that it's completely positive and very forward-looking. You don't look back at the past data or use the past as a limitation to say that I think it looks difficult. Like design is taking the existing to the desired. You always start with, this is what I want, this is where I want to get to, I want to get to the South Pole, I want to change the world, this is where I want to reach, which is a given. It doesn't matter where we are. Where we are is purely a mark which says, you are here, this is where you have to get to. Your pathways can change, you can take any form, but your goal still remains the same. If you're saying that I have to take a holiday, I have an option whether it is a Miami, whether it is a Goa. But the fact that the destination is fixed, that I want to get a holiday. If I want to change the world, I can use any means to change the world. But the fact that it's decided that I have to change the world, it's very positive. The current is purely a reference point to say, okay, where you start the journey from. It has nothing to do with where the journey heads to. And because you have a bit of a wilder side of this entire thing, it's disruptive, impactful, you can actually shock people with the kind of work that you actually come out of it. And the best thing is really fun and exciting. Because there are places where you actually, even if you don't want, you are never considered having 150 rupee cashew nuts for a meal. You still consume that only for the reason that you actually get a box free with it. Discreetly, we all enjoy design. You always don't take the shortest distance when you're driving down the city when you're going to work. You somehow love certain stretches of road. It's a nice place to get stuck in a traffic jam. The fact that the traffic is not the deterrent, the fact that the experience of me having taken the journey and the experience that I go through during the process actually matters a lot to us. And the best thing is that all this could have happened only after this knowledge era. If today we are able to achieve is only because we have gone through a knowledge era where all of us have access to information which gives us a plethora of choices before us, saying that I can do anything. If I want, I can sell groceries, I can consult in IT, I can be an environmentalist, I can be a doctor, an engineer, a musician, a DJ. Out of all these plethora of choices that I have, I can actually handpick saying, okay, this is what I want to do. This looks exciting. I think this is a nice job to get stuck with for the rest of your life. The fact that it is that information era which has actually given us, opened up so much of choices in front of you, where you are able to actually design it, saying that once you have decided this is where I want to get to I'm able to immediately get information which says that, okay, what all it takes to actually get over there. Next. Essentially what design does to all of us individuals is the fact that it gives the complete control of our lives and everything that we do onto yourself. You can't blame anyone for it. If you haven't designed your life, I'm sorry, it is your problem. Because there's nothing stopping you. Every other speaker over here is kind of demonstrated the fact that they have taken control over their lives and actually designed their life to actually achieve things. But I'm still stuck in the knowledge era, but I'm still sharing and just talking about it. Yeah. Thank you.